While some may think that Bitcoin is boring in this bear market, we've seen the rise of ordinals, NFTs, and tokens on the network on top of clear evidence of institutional interest, with the flurry of spot Bitcoin ETF filings by TradFi behemoths like BlackRock, Fidelity, and Invesco. So it may make sense to pay attention to Bitcoin and its ecosystem. If you haven't already been doing so, if you're asking what ecosystem, well then stay tuned. Contrary to popular belief, smart contracts are actually possible on the Bitcoin network, but because it is coded in the script programming language, which is not Turing-complete its programmability, and thus smart contract functionality is limited. Some examples of smart contracts on the Bitcoin mainnet include things like pay-to-public keyed hash, multi-signature, hash time lock, contract, discrete log contracts, and pay-to-tap root, which we won't get into here, but are essentially used for implementing various forms of Bitcoin transactions. The Lightning Network, which you may have heard of, is one example of a Bitcoin Layer 2 which uses simple main chain smart contracts like multi-sig ATLCs and DLCs to enable fast and cheap micropayments of Bitcoin for day-to-day transactions. The Lightning Network is currently Bitcoin's largest L2 by TVL, with about 150 million locked at the moment. However, to access the possibility of full-fledged DeFi and NFT dApps on Bitcoin, like the ones we see on chains like Ethereum, Bitcoin needs sidechain or Layer 2 solutions akin to Polygon Arbitrage or Optimism that have more programmability built in. Some of the main projects which are working on exactly this include Stacks and Rootstock. So let's take a look at those. So Rootstock aka RSK was one of the early, if not earliest, entrants in this space, having launched its mainnet in January 2018. RSK is a Bitcoin sidechain, and it's connected to Bitcoin via something called merge mining. So this allows it to borrow some of Bitcoin's underlying security, as Bitcoin miners can choose to dual mine Rootstock simultaneously with the Bitcoin blockchain with no additional cost and earn transaction fees from RSK. RSK enables smart contracts on Bitcoin using its RSK virtual machine, which is a slightly modified implementation of the EVM, and so is compatible with it. Therefore, dApps written in Solidity can be deployed, and popular EVM with your wallets like MetaMask can be used to interact and transact on the RSK network. It currently has a TVL of about 94 million, which is primarily made up by DeFi protocols money on chain and sovereign. The other main project is Stacks, which is arguably the more prominent player in this niche at the moment. Despite having a lower TVL than Rootstock, it also works somewhat like a sidechain similar to Polygon, but for Bitcoin. The project has been around for a while now, with an initial version launching all the way back in late 2018, and the current version in January 2021. Stacks inherits the security of the Bitcoin network by anchoring its transactions onto the Bitcoin main chain. It also uses a novel consensus mechanism called proof of transfer, which incentivizes Bitcoin miners with their native token STX for transferring and securing Bitcoin on the Stacks network. Smart contracts on Stacks are programmed with the Clarity language made specifically for the platform and meant to improve some of the shortcomings of Solidity. Stacks currently has a TVL of about 24 million and hosts 5 DeFi protocols according to DeFi Llama. Although this is low, it's worth noting that this is 3 to 4 times higher than it was at the start of the year. It probably benefited from the spillover effects due to the rise of ordinals. There are also other smaller projects like New Bitcoin City, who recently deployed a BRC20 DEX forked from Uniswap smart contracts on their Bitcoin Layer 2 platform. As you may have noticed, TVL on these Bitcoin-based platforms is low, even when compared to many all-chains, which themselves are a far cry to Ethereum, and the few dApps that have been built on them haven't gained the most traction. Coinbase has just launched their own blockchain base, and with their launch, it has been a success. So in this video, we're gonna go over what is Base, what you can do on Base, the competitors, and my personal opinion on it. And if you're not familiar with complicated crypto terms, don't worry about that, because we're gonna keep things simple and understandable. And I'm just gonna give you all the information you need, rather than all the fluff of all the technical words. All right, with that, and let's get started. What is Base? So we're going to go over what is the Base blockchain, how it works, and why you might want to use it. Now Base is a layer 2 blockchain, and that just means it makes Ethereum transactions faster and cheaper. And why would you want to transact on Ethereum? Well, that's because you can do a lot of DeFi decentralized finance. You can use dApps decentralized applications. This could be from NFTs to Web3 to trading to lending to all types of different things. So essentially, you can do everything that you would be able to do on Ethereum or any other type of smart contract blockchain, but faster and cheaper. So again, an Ethereum L2 is a blockchain that makes Ethereum transactions faster and cheaper. And Base is doing that using the OP stack. That is the Optimism stack. They are providing the resources to make that happen. So to put it simply, Base is a blockchain where you can run transactions quickly and for a very, very low cost. And that is powered by Optimism. If you are going to run any transactions on the network, you have to use Ethereum. But why would you use the Base blockchain? Well, let's jump into what you can do in the Base ecosystem. What can you do on Base? So we are looking at Coinbase as blockchain Base, and we're going to look into their ecosystem. This is base.org. We jump into the ecosystem, and we can see all the different decentralized applications that are available. And I personally don't like using this site because it's a little clunky. I'd like using DeFi Llama. Now, this isn't an ad or anything. It's just another tool you can use. So for undefined Llama, we look at changes, we find Base. And we can see that there are 55 decentralized applications or dApps available. We're going to jump into Base. We can see that $144 million of TBL, or total value locked. And that's been growing now. They only been available for like 2 weeks, 1 week officially. And there has been a lot of growth in their ecosystem. The most TVL is on Base Swap, which is a decentralized exchange, Beefy Finance that is a yield aggregator. And then we can see all the different decentralized apps that are available, from lending to mostly lending indexes. Those are really easy to start up. Now, I'm not endorsing any of these just because there's a lot of risk there. There's a lot of risk and DeFi. So be very careful if you are going to get involved with any of these applications. But the good thing about getting started in a new ecosystem and taking that risk of using it is that a lot of these projects might not have e-token, and then you might be eligible for an airdrop. So there are advantages and disadvantages to being very early in an ecosystem.